Hey, looks like the red light's on. That means we're live. What's happening, y'all good-looking people out in TV land? Hope you guys are doing good today. Doing well. Yep, there goes a guy pulling out into traffic. Head on. Here's a dude on his bicycle. You're on the wrong road for a bicycle, amigo. The guy behind me hitting his bright lights. There's a couple of school buses. I mean, of all things, right? School buses that drive this road in particular and some roads right around here. And they're for the school. It's a company called Harrow, Harrow. It's an academy here in Beijing, for supposedly a bilingual school. And those guys drive like they're completely unhinged. And I think it might be one of those Harrow school buses behind me. Recently, I saw one that had been in an accident on the road here, on the side of the road. And I'm fairly certain, I would guess 90% certain that it was the Harrow school bus that caused the accident, because they drive completely unhinged. Those buses must have some really good suspension and powerful engines, because they whip around and hit I'd say 90 to 100 on these little roads and don't give a fuck. If you get in their way, man, they're ready to run you down. And look at this dude, just jumps right out in front of oncoming traffic. It's a pretty common driving pattern here. Folks are very aggressive in pulling into traffic. I guess they just, even if you have the right of way, I guess they just assume you'll stop, which I've taken the driving test and I've read the booklet in both English and Chinese, and I know the laws, and they are creating a traffic hazard and they're violating right of way, but they just don't seem to care. And so I'm extra cautious. I keep an eye out for them and avoid involving myself in their stupidity. Key word there for those drivers: stupid. But I think they push it to the last minute and think, okay, this is the absolute last minute, I should leave to get there on time. And then that's not taking into consideration any of the changing conditions on the road. Because road conditions are constantly changing, and you should put a 10-minute buffer up front. So I don't know what they're doing with that 10-minute buffer. I guess they figure do away with the 10-minute buffer and then just drive like a bat out of hell. A bat out of hell. I'd be interested to research the etymological origin of the expression "a bat out of hell." Interesting. Also fascinating that they connect our current crisis with a bat and people eating bats. And those are not memes in the popular culture. That is a loose connection of associations to claim that it's a bat flu, that corona is a bat flu. I find that fascinating. Let's see here. Today is Friday, March, 26, 27? Let me check the watch. March 26, 2021. Looks like I have got 10 minutes to broadcast before I need to head over for my breakfast. See how close I can get it to the ping pong table. I find it fascinating that there's a ping pong table out here at the public bathroom, but you know, it's a bathroom next to a park, so that makes sense. All right, I have arrived safely and on time, 10 minutes early. 10 minutes early to be and early to breakfast. That's how I like to roll. I like to get there in time, on time, and even a little early. If I am running late though, I don't sweat it. You know, you just you send word and say, hey, I'm late. Because I am so consistently early that being late occasionally does not bother me, but I'm not. The only time I'm ever late is when there's a genuine crisis. I don't create crises, I solve them. I try to. That I was downloading or looking to purchase and looking to download books on critical thinking. Now, what is critical thinking? It's analysis, interpretation, delineation, extrapolation, so on and so forth. It's the rational logic, cognitive function of the mind, which at the level of discursive skepticism cannot reach to the spirit. And the reason for that is the mind deals in dualities and quantifying, comparing, and discriminating amongst those dualities. Whereas the subtle, imperceptible reality, underlying reality of the multiverse is whole. It's not dichotomized. I was listening to a speaker on ontology, and it's a very attractive philosophy, or it's almost a type of astrotheology for the mind. Very attractive. And that threw up the warning signals. Anything that at the discursive level is very attractive to the mind, Lao-Tzu warns us, is a deviation from holistic spiritual truth. But a lot of folks are looking for something tasty. Like me, myself, I got this tasty Virginia tobacco. And tobacco is one of the aromatics of Mars. The god Mars, the power Mars, and the planet Mars. In ancient times, it was known as a very aggressive masculine force. And I say masculine, it's portrayed as masculine oftentimes, but on the tree of life, the pillar of severity and Mars are on the side of the feminine. Although it is often portrayed with the symbology of a masculine symbol, a masculine hieroglyph, curvilinear hieroglyph. You're probably familiar with it, the circle and the arrow. So it's indicative of strength, power, masculinity. And if you get too much into picking apart the way we've already encoded things over the last couple thousand years, and more recently the last couple of 100 years, specifically since the 15th century, then you compromise the stability of the foundation of human understanding, at least for the Western mind. Now, I'm a big aficionado and advocate of studying Far Eastern mythologies. It's amazing to think that I'm broadcasting to you live now via the Black Mirror from the Far East. When I was a boy, I was interested in magic and seeing into the Far East via the Black Mirror, the Dark Mirror of the craft. And now the Dark Mirror of the craft is before me, and I can project directly into it, out into the prime material plane, and it's available everywhere. So if you are out there, say hello, salutations and greetings from the Central Kingdom, where old Emperor Qianlong used to stand on the platform of heaven, worshiping heaven, and making sacrifices and invocations and undulations to the 9 levels of heaven for a peaceful kingdom and a good agricultural year, beneficent rains. Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching that when the emperor guides the country by following the Tao, everything is peaceful and beneficent mists fall from heaven, nurturing the 10,000 things. No unusual disasters occurred. And it's been that way for me. When in disharmony with the Tao and the Great Way, the Great Concourse, then other things would happen. So check that out. And I forget which chapter of the Tao Te Ching, but I will review. I could thumb through all 81 chapters and get myself back up to pace on it. That's the benefit of reading a book thousands of times over many decades, is you may or may not have every chapter completely memorized, but that way of thinking becomes a part of your personal mythology. Which is something I've recently become interested in, is Joseph Campbell's understanding of the hero of 1,000 faces, comparative mythology, and what is being called these days as a personal mythology. That's an understanding that the stories and myths that one grows up with and studies form a kind of worldview, a paradigm about the being. And if we shift that telescope, like we were taught by Dr. Robert Anton Wilson in Prometheus Rising and the Illuminati trilogy, if we shift that tunnel reality, which we can through pressure and studying in different directions, we can shift it and get a more open-minded perspective of reality. Got 55 seconds till the clock hits 7. I'm gonna go ahead and fire up the car, and head over there. Robert Anton Wilson's exercise on finding quarters, 25-cent pieces or other coins in your respective reality. For me, I look for the 50-cent pieces, although it's mostly the 10-cent pieces that manifest here in the Central Kingdom, because the 50-cent pieces look gold and they shine in the light. So more often people find those. But that one exercise alone will pay for the book many times over. I haven't worked with Wilson's exercises this year, which I typically do with adult learners, due to the fact that I have some transitional kids this year, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, junior high. I'm not going to teach them about Wilson, although that's when I was reading my Wilson. I was reading Prometheus Rising when I was 14, 15 years old. And if you have been exposed to Mr. Wilson, then you might be suspicious about that as suitable educational materials for transitional learners. But if you have read your Steiner, Rudolf Steiner, progenitor of the Waldorf School of Education, then you would think, oh yeah, that's right in line with that's right in line with the way you should open up the minds of young learners. I'm gonna get in there and get some breakfast, man, because it's springtime. The birds are out, the bees are buzzing, and old Frank Money's getting hungry. So as above, so below. I will see you good-looking, happy people in the future. And it says end broadcast, but we know better. We know better. Kisses.